Hello, welcome to the show, everyone. We have with us Trevor again. It's so good to see you. We're happy to
Yeah,
have you.
sorry. Yeah, I've been gone the last few weeks. Sorry about that. Had some work and then just life. You know, it's it always gets in the way of the fun stuff. So,
It does. It does. I don't know why, but your internet's going pausing, freezing a little bit.
I don't know why either. It's super smooth here.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're pausing and freezing.
I'll try not to make weird faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be stuck like that
Be
forever,
stuck
like
with
our moms
her.
used to say.
hmm
How have you been? What have you been doing? How come you left us for so long?
Well, like I say, my job, the way it works is like I'll wind up working like 2 Sundays in a row. And I usually get some Sundays off, and then like last week I had some family stuff come up that I got hyper focused on and completely lost track of time. My bad. Should have been here. And then just got back last night from a 3-day trip out in eastern Idaho with we took a bunch of youth out for a pioneer experience, which was pretty cool. They had to research some pioneers that came across the plains. A lot of them had ancestors who were pioneers, and so they got to push these hand carts and stuff in 100-degree weather. They had to do like four, 6, and another 4-mile hike. So they hiked the whole lot and got sunburned, ate a lot of dust. It was fun.
Ate a
It
lot
was
of
good time.
dust.
Lots of blisters. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, and just happy to be back in air conditioning. And so,
I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, it's good. It's good to have you back. I'm happy to see you. We are going to. So, it was funny. I actually came up with this idea. Yesterday, I went out to my car, and stuck in the windshield of my car was this little flyer that said, if you need a psychic, you've got to contact Madam Full of Shit, and you know, 'cause she's advertising in the windshield, putting all these little flyers on the windshield and the whole bit. And so I was like, okay, all right, well, let's talk about paranormal scams, because we've sort of brought it up in the past, like very casually, where we've talked about things to be aware of with the paranormal or paranormal teams, or except, but let's actually get into it. Let's talk about it, and if we need to go into like a part two, I think we'll definitely have probably enough material to do that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, and that's the big history, unfortunately, of the paranormal. Is like, I mean, a lot of it started out as a scam, a way
Yeah,
people preying upon the hopes and feelings of other of vulnerable people, and turning it into some sort of business, and it started with I want to say it was the Fox sisters. Does that sound right?
yeah,
Fox
I think
sisters.
it was. And also,
They were they started the whole seance movement,
yeah,
um, that whole thing, and it all started as a joke. They were trying to mess with their mom, and one of the sisters would go down and start talking about the spirit in the house or whatever, and mom wasn't believing her, and they had some way of signaling each other at the right time. The girl downstairs would say something, the girl upstairs would drop an apple on the floor to make a response. And it blew up from there, and it created this huge paranormal movement. But later on they admitted, it was all a scam. It was all, just,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
back in the late 1800s, early 1900s here in Canada, we did have the Toronto Paranormal Society, which actually investigated a lot of scams. And that
yep.
was one of the things that they would do, is they would, check out, people that claim to have abilities, or people that claim to see ghosts, or were able to do whatever. I mean, they didn't, particularly have the camera where they're trying to catch apparitions at that time. But, you know, a lot of things were done with the little bells and the strings and the moving the tablecloth and, you know, the lifting the table underneath and,
Right.
you know,
Yep.
and that was, you know, quite a big thing, especially like you said, the seances. That was quite the quite this thing going on, you know, and
You know,
people made
and it was super. Oh, my computer. It was super entertaining, right? And that a lot of celebrities were really into it, and but at the same time, a lot of people were believing that it was real, and there were a lot of people who got severely taken advantage of.
yeah.
And to this day, it still happens. People are being taken advantage of because, just like the title of our show, you know, they want to believe. They want to believe that their loved ones are still there, that they're looking after them, or they can get a message across the veil, or they, you know, that somebody's really got the answers to their life's problems. And when it comes down to it, it's just most of the, I mean, a lot of the times it's just not.
It's not an orb, it's dust.
It's, it's
but
not a
but
demon, it's a leaky pipe. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know, and I think, you know, it's such a fine line for me, right? Because the fact is that, you know, I am a psychic medium, so I am able to pick up on a lot of the energies. But there is such a difference between paying somebody for, let's say, an hour session to, you know, tap into, you know, what's going on with you or your home or a loved one, whatever, um, as opposed to spending thousands of dollars or being told that you're being haunted or that there's a demon coming after you or whatever. One of the biggest scams, especially with the paranormal field, um, or for this with the psychic field, I should say, not paranormal field, but with the psychic field, is if you is somebody who basically is sending you an unsolicited email. So if you know, let's say you follow me on social media, right? The one thing I'm never going to do to somebody is message them.
right.
I don't have time for that shit. I'm sorry. I really don't.
Yep.
I don't, you know what I mean? I might message a friend and you know, I have done that, but these are friends that, you know, these are people that I've been doing readings for years. Like they would know if it wasn't me, right?
Mhm.
And you know, I might say, "Hey, look it, you know what?" And this actually happened the last, I don't know, last couple of months, you know, like, "Look it, you popped into my head. I just needed to check on you, make sure you're okay. Is all good." "Oh, okay." You know, da da da, let's go from here. But to just message a stranger and say, you know, "Oh, I got a message for you." No, that, you know what? That never, ever, 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 ever. I couldn't put enough evers. Let's just add 100 more evers after that.
Mhm.
That's never going to happen. That's never, ever, ever going to happen. And so when somebody, you know, does that kind of nonsense, it really, you know, takes away from the field, I guess, is basically what it is. It really discredits a lot of the field because a lot of people do get taken advantage of. Or, you know, then we have also the, you know, the crystal scam or the healing scam or whatever it is, you know, because obviously you must have a demon attached to you, obviously.
It's clear.
And the only way you're going to remove that demon is through, you know, paying me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because, you know,
Hmm.
yeah, and that's never going to happen. You know
Right.
what I mean? Right? And
Well, people
so, but a
people
lot of
take things
people,
at such face value. You know, like somebody comes in with a uniform or a badge, or I mean, you think about anybody that like you there was. I've been wanting to do this experiment, and I'm sure somebody's already done it. But like, I want to get like four buddies, and I want to get some stop signs and slow signs, and get some reflective vests, and go stand out at an intersection and pretend that we're flaggers, and just
right?
stop traffic here and stop traffic there. We have, I mean, and everybody will obey it. I guarantee you, everybody will stop and everybody will go, and we tell them to do simply because we have signs and we have vests, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and so, somebody who has a website that has a cool looking shirt that says, I'm this paranormal team, they must be legit, right? So they are going to be, people just take that as face value that
Yeah.
everybody has their best interest at heart, and that they're there to take care of them, that they're going to do the right thing. That is what most people want to believe about somebody
Yeah.
that's shown up at the door, that they got their best interest at heart. I hate, I won't say which church it was, but I remember being in South America, and there was a really big church down there, and their big thing was, uh, that they could come and they would perform miracles for you for X amount of dollars, right?
Oh.
So they could cure your ailing mother for $100. They
Right.
would, they would do these things based off of how much money you would give them. Trying to tell people, hey, listen, this is not how it works. It's, they prey on your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
They want to give you that feeling like, hey, you can't go to anybody else because nobody else is going to believe you, but I'll believe you and I can take care of your problems. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and trying to educate everybody on that is really difficult. And because once somebody gets burned by a paranormal team or by one of these scammers, or
Yeah.
they're never going to believe anybody else, right?
It's going to
So
be really hard for them to believe somebody else. Absolutely, for sure. And I mean, the thing is, the disadvantage that we have is it's very hard to prove the paranormal to begin with. Like, there's no set method towards, proving it. And so when people are taking your money for an investigation, let's just say, because that seems to be a really great scam that, I think every city pretty much has a paranormal team that's like, yeah, we'll come in and investigate for like a couple $100 and blah blah blah. And like, what are you what are you charging for exactly? What are you
exactly,
charging for? Right?
precisely,
Because I mean, I could sit in somebody's house all night, get paid $200 or whatever it is, or however much they're paying, or they're demanding for that. And oh, sorry, we got no evidence. Sucks, but
well,
catch you on the flip side. See you later.
precisely, exactly. Yeah, how do you? And how do you? How does somebody? I mean, where's the proof? It's like, oh, you said I have a demon. Now the demon's gone. Where's the proof? I mean, how do I know? I don't know. It's crazy. Uh, but I mean, there's that. It's been going on for so long. I swear, it's just ingrained in us. I mean, times people were selling snake oil on, in the old West. It's just
Yeah,
people want to believe. That's the hardest part. They
we
want to
have
believe.
here.
So,
Oh, we had a team here in my city. I don't know if they're still in operation or not, but they used to go into people's homes and and charging to investigate. I'd pay to investigate. No, you don't want to pay to investigate either, unless it's like a really great place. Like a lot of places, just to go off topic, like a lot of places will charge a team for investigation if they're a famous location, or like an asylum, an asylum, like a past asylum or hospital
yeah,
or jail, or because they're a tourist site. They're that's what they might do, and so they do charge for the investigation, or for you to go in and spend the time there. But just for a human, for you to go to somebody's house, no, you don't want to be doing that stuff. But we did have a team here that used to say, used to charge, and they would do some boogity boogity stuff and blah blah blah. We closed your portal and everything is done, you're good to go. And then when somebody complained that it was still, like, they were still receiving activity, well, that must be something new that you brought in. That's something that you created,
you
because once
clearly
I do
didn't
my
do
job,
it.
it's done. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so what happened is so many times we would get this phone call. Well, I had this team in, and we're like, here we go. So we had to go behind this team and do a lot of their fixing, I guess is the best way to say it. But as we never charged, it was different. The only time that anybody, that would be okay to charge for is one, if they wanted, let's say somebody said, oh, I want a thermal camera. Okay, well, honey, we're not buying a thermal camera. I'm not spending $1,000 to buy a thermal. You want to buy a thermal camera, you can go buy a thermal camera. But, the chances of a team actually having that could be like this, depending on the team's budget, right? Because they are relying on donations, or maybe they have auctions, or they might have events that they might charge a small fee for, like let's say a museum. They might do an investigation at a location that they charge for, and they might take a little bit of a fee for themselves, that sort of thing. But that's what they're using to buy their equipment with, and to do, to buy editing, or all of the software that they need, that sort of thing. But, or if you go out of town, or if it's going to be a particular distance and it's going to cost you gas, and it's going to cost, maybe you got to spend the night, because it would be dangerous, especially to be driving, for set amount of time, and then investigate for et cetera amount of time, and then to drive home. So, that could end up being 24, 36 hours of no sleep. That wouldn't be right to the team to not have either access to a sleeping area, or to have a hotel, rented for them, bought for them for that day. But, and that would be acceptable. But other than that, no.
And all of those examples are things that on my team that's happened. We've had requests. Most of my team, we live primarily in Southwest Idaho, around the Boise area, and we've had requests for residential investigations, 3.5 hours north, and trying to explain to somebody is, okay, well, that's 7 hours of driving. We're going to get there as early as we can. We got to get set up, and we're going to have to leave, like around midnight, because we got to drive 3.5 hours back. We trying to give somebody a good investigation. It's really hard to do when they're far away like that. We have to come back. Yeah. Fortunately, that person.
Well, because you're not even going to be thinking about the investigation at that point. No, you are going to be wondering, like, yeah, you're going to be worrying more about your safety on the road. I'm in Alberta, and we have some of the worst fucking roads here, like our highways. Yeah. There's so many deaths on our highways. It's ridiculous. Like, people get clipped off like a freaking video game sometimes, So,
but that person wound up offering sorry. You kind of cut out there for a second. I thought you were done.
Yeah, I think I think we have a delay going on between us. So, yeah. Okay.
So what I was saying is, that person wound up. She just offered her house to us for 48 hours. So we just stayed there. We stayed there for 48 hours, and we did that thing. She was kind enough to even give us some gas money. It was really cool. I mean, that's very, very rare that people will do that. We don't solicit money. We are a nonprofit group. One of the things that we are doing as a nonprofit now, we're looking to do some fundraisers, because like we're trying to build, so get some better equipment. We're looking like things like thermal imaging, things like that, things that are going to make us more effective investigators. In fact, we actually are offering a trip here in September to the old tuberculosis hospital in Idaho.
That'd be so cool.
And what's nice about that is, that we're coming there. The owner of that hotel, it's a hotel now. I mean, they're coming into their slow season, so we're renting the entire building out from them. So they're making some money, and then we're gonna get like a little bit off the top of that. Just to go back to help pay for the gas that we got to. It's like, we got to drive out there. It's far for us to drive to. And plus we're going to be providing snacks and stuff like that. So, but anything above and beyond that, right?
Yeah.
That's not cool. We're
Well,
not in it.
That actually brings me to another scam that actually did happen with a particular group and a very famous, well-known investigation team that were on TV. I don't want to say their names, but they used to do where they would go to, like you said, the tuberculosis hospital or something like that. They would have these tours set up, and it would cost everybody, like every individual, about $1,000 to $2,000. That's not including your flight, but that would be like your hotel, your meals, and your investigation for a day or two, right? And it was expensive. It was super expensive. But the scam is that this particular investigator claimed to have cancer. And so at the time the investigation would come up, they would claim that they couldn't make it because of the cancer. And he would actually have other people from, like basically he would befriend people, like, from different cities or from different places, and they would have to then put on the tour. So it'd be like these people are expecting to see this particular famous investigator and another person from that team that was also, that they were also paying to go see. But then they would show up and it would be some rando who's now, it's still the investigation. The investigation was paid for. That was legit in that way. But this person has no idea about the location, right? Because they showed up, like they paid themselves to go to on this thing. But now they've just paid $1,000 or $2,000 and they're taking the tour. Like they're leading the tour. So they have no idea what they're doing. And it was huge. It was a huge scam. And it turned out that the guy actually did not have cancer. Surprise, surprise.
Oh,
and wow. Funny how that works. And well, and the funny part is that he actually claimed it was prostate cancer, which is very, very, very rare for somebody to recover from. But according to, shoving crystals up his ass and going to a witch doctor or something like that, apparently he was able to cure himself. That was his claim. And
I heard that's also good for weight loss and erectile dysfunction.
Right. Yes, I've heard that too. So anyway, there was charges. There was
Good.
charges. But but again, that like people need to really, and the funny part is that when it happened the first time, people were like, oh, poor guy, blah, but then when it happens a second time and you're trying to warn people because you had just seen it happen, and being an investigation team, and I don't want to get into the whole thing, but we knew this team, we had connections to them to some degree, very minor connections, but we were trying to warn people, and people don't listen. Like they don't listen. They're so gullible, and the poor man, oh, bless his little heart, here's more money. And it breaks your heart because you're just like, wow. Like this is not okay. This is not okay. Yeah. But let's go into another famous one. Not this one. Amityville Horror. So this is another one that a lot of people actually, they don't want to believe was. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I guess I'm skeptical both ways. I don't know. Maybe there was something going on. I doubt it. The reason that I doubt it is is because this house has been sold and people have lived in it. And I think that the current owners of it have actually been there for quite a few years now. And they have absolutely no claims of paranormal activity. Anybody who's lived in the house after the Lutzes have not had any paranormal activity. They were
I don't
just,
know, Kathy. I think they made movies about it. It's got to be real.
it's got to be,
It's got to be real.
it was on
It,
TV.
it
It's
was
got,
on TV. It must be real. I don't know. I'm not an expert, so
yeah, no, not at all, Mr. Western Paranormal or Western Idaho Paranormal. Yeah.
so
No,
the
but the thing is that I mean, what a great way to get out of your lease, right? Or out of the sale of your house. Because in the States, I think that now I don't know if it still works that way, but is there not a thing where you have to um, claim that your house was haunted, or you have to be
yes,
openly like if you're experiencing a haunting, do you not have to be open about that to new
there
sellers?
are. It varies from state to state,
Okay.
but there are state laws that require the seller to disclose certain information.
Right.
One is if there has been a death in the home,
Okay.
uh, and another, and in some cases, if the house is got paranormal activity associated with it. So I don't believe in Idaho you don't have to disclose that your house has paranormal activity. I do believe they have to disclose if there's been a death in the home. Um, so, which is I always thought was really interesting though that the state would require that. Where um, you I don't know. It just seems like an odd for a government to
Yeah.
make somebody say, "Oh yeah, well, my house is haunted," when it's so difficult to prove one way or another.
Yeah.
It's kind of I always thought that was hilarious, but for me, that's a big upsell. So if I see a house that says, "Yep, it's haunted," I'm like, that's the one I want to buy. So
Well, the thing is that, the way the Lutzes did it, because I think it was just months after William Defoe like killed his entire family, right? That was his name, I believe. I know it was Defoe, I believe.
Willem Dafoe is an actor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Defoes. That was the name of the family that was killed. I can't remember his
Oh,
first
okay,
name.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the guy. I could actually Google that.
That's a Willem Dafoe. I didn't know that. I've seen him in several movies. He's
Yeah. No. But Robert Defoe, that was his name. Robert
there.
or no, Ronald Defoe. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. Ronald Defoe Jr. is who killed his entire family. So, but yeah, they I mean, that was actually quite brilliant of the way that they did it, to be honest, because I mean, it really was only months after that they did move in.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Lutz there was a little bit off of his, didn't have all his nuts gathered together. Let's just say that.
And who knows? I mean, maybe there was something weird going on. Definitely not to the extent that I think that they were claiming, and clearly not to the extent that Hollywood has made it out to be. That gave them maybe the idea of, hey, you know what? We,
Mhm.
we'll, this is kind of weird. Maybe we just use this and we get out. I don't know. So, but
Well,
hey,
here
they made out like bandits off the movie, right? So,
they really did. Like they,
mhm.
not only did they make a ton of money, but they got out of, the house itself. The payment, like they were able to break the mortgage, I think it was that they had on it, because of, being able to claim all of this activity. And I mean, they made a fortune off of the movies and the books and whatever the hell else. But here, one of the biggest scams, one of the biggest scams in history. Can you guess what that would be? One of the biggest paranormal scams.
uh, Ghost Adventures.
Close
No?
second. Yes, I would
Okay.
say. I would say that would be a no. You know what? Here, Salem witch trials.
Oh, the Salem witch trials. Yes, that
Yes.
was.
Right? That would be the biggest scam probably in all of history that they were able to. And the funny part is that almost all of the people burned, whether it was or killed, whether they were hung or drowned, or that really kind of just depends on the area, I guess, or who was doing the trial at that time. But it was not the wealthy that were. Yeah, but the funny part is you would think that it would have been the wealthy, right? Because you would think that somebody would have spoke up and said, well, how did he get so much money? It must have been a witch spell, right? Like,
Right?
I mean, what? Okay, why would somebody who's living in poverty and basically eating the crust of breads, what would be being a witch? How would that like? Should they not have a benefit from that?
I think but a lot of it wasn't. It wasn't so much. I mean, I think a lot of it was stemmed from some of the wealthy, like that they were kind of driving a lot of that. But it was mostly being driven by the church, by the at the time the religious zealots and clergy and stuff that were they were really trying to strike the fear of God into everybody to maintain this control over people, and anybody who was just a little bit different,
Off.
or even outspoken in any way towards their religion, obviously they've been possessed by the devil. They are
And a lot of
literally.
natural healers too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Holistic healers. Oh yeah. If you were living off the land and doing, living by yourself in the woods and just being unorthodox and stuff like that, anything, because if it wasn't being done by the power of God, then it was of the devil. So if you were going out and you were gathering herbs to heal people instead of going to your priest to be healed,
Or
that's not
your
right.
local, whatever they called the doctor back then, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times too, I mean, the doctor's methods were purely barbaric, especially towards
Oh
women.
yeah.
And
I
so
mean,
women were looking for a way to cure themselves, through holistic medicine.
mm-hmm.
Because I mean, some of these doctors, like the crap that they would do to them was
Oh
just
yeah.
really barbaric, right?
I mean, they believed in everything from. I mean, it's kind of great because we're talking about scammers and stuff like that. But you ever heard the term about blowing smoke up up somebody's butt?
Yes, yeah.
Right? They really they did that. They if somebody was in cardiac arrest,
Yeah.
or they would actually get a bellows, go to the fire, suck up a bunch of smoke, shove it up there, and blow smoke up there, thinking that it was going to do something for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a
Or
real thing.
bloodletting was a huge thing.
That was a big deal. Really, hey, we're going to drain that disease right out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's craziness. So
Yeah. Well, and
and
they're bloodletting with like the dirtiest. Here, we're just gonna cut up this deer, and then I'm gonna use this knife on you.
yeah, right. Yeah, and that was the sad part about it, was like a lot of these, and and there was probably a little bit of chauvinism in there as well, where especially you'd have these ladies that were really good at what they did as far as like understanding herbology and things like that,
Yeah.
and different plants and medicine. I mean, Native Americans have been doing it for years. They knew the medicinal purposes of the plants and stuff. And then well, these women don't know anything, because I'm a doctor and I'm a guy and I can do better. It's
Yeah. Well,
and
women.
it was just absolute ignorance and pride and stupidity. And the whole, the unfortunate part of it is that they could rile up the masses to go after these women, and it was ridiculous. It's just absolute craziness. So a
Yeah.
huge
Well,
scam, huge scam.
absolutely. It was like, I mean, it was like like Frank going after Frankenstein, like with the pitchforks and and the
Hmm.
torches for sure, right? Like it was,
Absolutely.
and all it took was one person to say. And I mean,
Hmm.
here's the funny part. It's really not much different though on current social media.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Yep.
Because we've got so many people right now that aren't fact checking, like really, like not Facebook fucking fact checking, like
No,
actual
like
fact
actually
checking.
going and doing their own research into something
Right.
and looking at it.
Yeah. And it's funny because there's this meme that goes around and it says, something about uh you know vaxxers, are on the toilet doing research. Okay, but here's the thing. Some of those vaxxers that are doing that research on that toilet, they're watching the videos of some of these scientists that have been kicked out for their thought process, especially during, this whole thing that we just went through recently, right? And so, but wherever you fall on the scale with that's not the thing, is that, but a lot of people, especially right now, are repeating rhetoric that they're hearing
Yeah. Hmm.
over and over and over, and you're just like, wow.
Well, and
Like
that's
you're
just
just in shock. Like, have you used any of your own brain cells?
exactly.
And you might as well give this person a torch and a pitchfork, because it's pretty much behaving in the same manner that
Hmm.
we used to do back in the 1600s easily.
Well, and the hard part is I think it's because I mean it's definitely a generational thing. I mean, Kathy, when you and I were kids, we couldn't go to a thing with a keyboard and ask it a question and get an answer back.
Mhm. We
We had
actually
to
had to
go to
look
the
it up.
library. We had to go to the library. We had to pull out and we had to order encyclopedia
We had to look
Britannica.
up the Dewey
We had to go
Decimal
to
System.
we had to find a specific book, and
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And that's how we would get our information. We at the time trusted the news to give us the information, which
Right.
maybe not have been the best idea. I don't know. But nowadays, our encyclopedias are computers. And
Yeah.
so the generations that have grown up, they go to the computer expecting to get the correct answer. So
Right.
now when you see somebody that's got a million followers and they say something, well, they've got a million followers, so they must be right. They
Or
must be.
somebody that sings and has a few billion dollars.
Mm-hmm.
People
Yep.
tend to think that they're brilliant, although
Mm-hmm.
their brain is literally like mush with the rhetoric that they're taking in
Exactly.
or being paid to spit out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, they can stand on stage and they make a few billion dollars by whatever, shaking their ass a few times. And everybody's all like, "Oh my god, oh my god, it's the best person ever in this whole world. Oh my god, oh my god, she's just wonderful. Oh my
They
god,
have all the answers. It's like
she must know everything. She's so smart. She's got to be so smart."
it
So,
makes me think of that movie Forrest Gump, where he's running across the United States and he's coming across and this guy comes up to him. He's like, I follow you anywhere, Mr. Gump. I see there's a man there that he's got all the answers. He's got it all figured out. And he's just, he's just running because he felt like running, and
yeah,
yeah, so and it's hard to try to figure out how, again, to educate people to do that. I mean, anything from when it comes to, politics to,
yeah,
even weather information, or your paranormal teams or a psychic medium. You've got to be able to do your own research. You got to look into who they are, what they're doing, what are what are they asking for in return. That should be your first question. Somebody's coming into you and saying, hey, I want to invest. First of all, if any paranormal team comes to you at your home or is trying to
yeah.
investigate your home, say no. We're not
Um,
like, we
or
do
if you
not
get an email from
solicit.
a team saying, "Oh, there's activity
Yeah,
in your
we don't.
neighborhood."
Yeah, we do not solicit to investigate private residences at all. That is that. No, that's a no-no. we might go to
Usually what's
certain,
happening is
we'll
they're
go to
trying to check
historical
out your house.
businesses. Yeah, sometimes we'll go to businesses, like have historical buildings, and we'll talk to them about what we do, and if they would be, if they have any stories about the building, things like that, and if they would be interested in allowing us to come in and do some research. And we don't, we don't want money, we don't want any of that stuff. We just want an opportunity to take a look.
Right.
And then we always offer that confidentiality. I can't speak anymore. Stroke. Confidentiality factor, that we're not going to blast their business all over, the internet saying, yeah, this place is haunted. So it's,
I can't say the word anonymous.
Anonymity.
That one.
Anonymity. I don't know.
Anonymous. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Spooky says
maybe we need an ovulus to help us out. We need that $600 word bank.
The biggest scam I've seen recently in people is trying to leech off of people's fear and trying to make them pay for their services. Yeah. Recently ran into somebody doing that. Yeah. I mean, that's another common one, for sure, right? But and that's where we're talking about, especially with like some of the psychic scams, again, we do get a lot of that in my business, where people will try to say that you've got something attached to you, or you've got this, or you got to pay them for X, Y, and Z. And that is such nonsense. A good psychic, a good medium, a good empath, intuitive, whatever it is, they will charge for their hourly session and leave it at that. And it will be your choice as to whether or not you're going to, go back to them or not. They're not going to solicit for your business, or they should not be soliciting for your business. Oh, Jesus Christ. I just scared myself.
Like, you scared me too. Like, whoa, what the heck happened?
But,
Happy, do you have a demon? For $5,000, I can come get rid of that for you.
Yeah, because they'll
I'll take care of it right there.
Yeah,
gone.
Right. just transfer the money.
Back I can do it right here over the internet for you.
Yeah. Right. Oh my God. Bob had said, because I asked what a word bank was, and he was saying ovulus. And so for those that don't know what an ovulus is, it looks similar, like there's different types or whatever. Yeah. And it does have apparently addiction. This one apparently is also an EMF detector on top of it. So
it's a combination.
It's a combination. Ooh. EMF and ovulus.
I bet you that's really affordable.
You think so? Is it? You think?
No,
I don't know.
No.
Probably.
So an ovulus, basically it has a set number of words that a ghost can choose from, can basically go in and select the word and somehow push the ghost button on it, and it vocalizes whatever word the spirit chooses. I'm not really sure how a spirit would know how to do that.
Yeah, because like you would think that would be a complicated sort of process, right? Like,
right.
I don't know if I would be able to, like, how would I? Okay, so I can't even find my remote control half the time. So
where does the spirit? And again, I'm wearing this shirt for a reason. So I was like,
yes.
Okay? So because this is the thing about the paranormal field, and I've said this a million times before. There really are no experts in the paranormal field, because we're all guessing. I believe I am a professional in the paranormal field. We do things professionally. we do our due diligence. We research our stuff. We don't post, we won't post anything that we don't think is legitimate evidence. However, we will never tell you that, like, yep, this is a ghost, because guess what? 2 weeks from that day, we might find out, oh, actually, it wasn't a ghost. It was just Trevor's stomach growling. And, and then we have to retract everything. We present what we think is evidence, and we let other people decide for themselves. The best way to convince somebody about paranormal activity is for those people to experience it themselves. And that's the only way anybody's ever going to believe it, in my opinion. The things that we can try to show. What are you doing over there?
I keep dropping stuff. I was trying to do that so casually. Don't make a face.
I saw it. You're like, what the heck? Oh my goodness.
Pretend it didn't happen.
So anyway, it's anybody that's coming into that approaches you saying that they've got the answers for you and they can figure it out for you. I'm sorry. The best they can do is try to help. We can come in and we can try to validate the experiences that you're having. We can offer you the best, our best opinions as far as, what's going on. And, and we can try to help from there. There are times where we are able to help people get rid of spirits there, but it really comes down to the individual on how that's going to work. It doesn't. Some things that work for some people don't work for other people. It's really an interesting deal. So I guess the thing I want somebody to take away from that is, like, don't take everything at face value. Do your research, and like I said, be skeptical. Be super skeptical, and especially if somebody's coming to you saying they got all the answers, they got it figured out.
I would rather work with somebody who's skeptical rather than somebody who, believes everything that they're hearing. Because, 100%. When that crash comes, right? Because ultimately there's always going to be that moment where they start to, put things together or figure out that, maybe I need to do some more research. Maybe I need to look into this, maybe that, when that, it's like, when that crash comes, it's usually hard, right? It's a hard crash. And it can blow their belief system completely out of the water. It can blow their faith. It can blow, all of that. And you don't want to be in that place. You want to be in the place where, be skeptical and allow things to present themselves to you, right? Like that's usually a really great place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm with you. The best people are I love it when somebody's, they say, well, my husband's super skeptical. Perfect. I love that, because you know what? Because not only it's not only going to help the spouse or whatever, it's going to help me as an investigator. It's really going to make me really look at what our evidence is. It's really going to make me double check things, because I want them to be satisfied with whatever results that we have, if we get any at all. I love skeptics on an investigation, because they keep you honest, right? And the whole we've talked about mass hysteria in the past, where one person, you're getting that itch and you start itching, and then all of a sudden the person next to you, they start itching too, and all of a sudden everybody's got a rash. It was funny because investigator Cody and myself were at the Sumter Bed and Breakfast, and we always had joked about some of the TV shows we watch where the guys kind of feed off of each other. They start, oh my gosh, oh I'm feeling this, oh I'm feeling this too. Well, it was really funny because we were in the kitchen and we were doing this investigation and stuff was going on, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I got these goosebumps all of a sudden, and Cody goes, whoa, me too. And we laughed so hard about that. It was just like, oh my God, okay, we're done. We're just gonna we gotta walk away now. So, yeah.
But you know what the fun part is that when you get that skeptic, and I remember this would happen, like you'd go on, let's say, a paranormal event. One of the biggest ones, was we had this family where the kids and the mom were really experiencing the paranormal. Like they were really, they were going through it, right? And the dad, was making up excuses for everything. Like it was happening to him too, but it was like, yeah,
No
but this,
rational.
yeah, but that, and yeah, but, and there was no belief. But the thing is that his child, like his teenage son, was really struggling with a lot of issues that were going on in the house because it seemed to be really. I found that one of the things that we did discover, and you've probably seen it too, is that if there is an empathic child, especially, or an intuitive child or a psychic child in the home, whether it's male or female, a lot of things will tend to happen within the home.
Yes.
And it will happen to the child. And when you've got a father or a parental figure in the home that's skeptical and claiming that it's not happening and the kid's full of shit, this is where we get a lot of mental health issues. And it's not saying that you should believe everything your child is saying, but be open to at least listening to them instead of shutting them fucking down. Right. And so, one of the things that I remember, we were probably into about our third or fourth year of investigating. And this family was so sweet. And the father wasn't an asshole, but he was, he was very skeptical. He was very like, I think the kid's just lazy. I think he just needs to do that. I think he's, that attitude. Right. And we had invited them to one of our public meetings. And so they came and they were able to listen to us talk, and we're sort of able to kind of get to know us with, a big crowd, first of all, which really sort of helped. And, they heard different stories from different people at the same time, because that's what we would do for these meetings. But when we did go to investigate, we were able to not only get EVPs, but this father was able to experience a lot of, when we would ask the spirit to do something, there was a response to it. And so he was able to visually see a lot of these things and audibly be able to hear a lot of these things afterwards. And, he was in tears. He was in tears for not believing his kid. And that was, in here, like, it makes me want to cry now. Right. But, in here, you were like, wow, this is, it just bonded the two of them together. And then it was such a sweet experience to see them kind of work together to work out some of the issues. We gave them little tips and little tricks and things like that, but we never really cleansed things. That wasn't really our thing, because we always felt like there's a reason why these things are there, and if you change your behavior, you can remove the negative by different methods. You don't need to eliminate them, because sometimes there is a reason why these things are there. And it was really sweet. It was really, really sweet. And it really bonded the father and the son together. And it was one of those moments where, we obviously worked with them for a while. It wasn't like an overnight thing or anything like that, right? But it was one of those where you're just like, this is why we do what we do.
Yep, exactly. And that's the biggest thing about it is, what did your team ask for in return?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
See, that's where, that's what sets us apart from the predators and the scammers that are out there. There are so many people that would be looking to take advantage of that situation.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of research that people are willing to do in order to get into your home or into your life to try to extort you for
to try to take that money away. Yeah.
So, but you hit the nail on the head. Is I was with another team for a while, and I would be told as the case manager, like, hey, try to talk this person out of an investigation because they just sound like they're off their rocker, or they're just not, And
Right.
I always, I wasn't the one that was in charge. I would talk to them and, see what I could do to help over the phone, because clearly the owner of the team wasn't wanting to go help them. But what I think that owner failed to understand is that even though maybe what they're talking about isn't paranormal, perhaps it's medication related, perhaps it's some sort of mental disorder, whatever, they're still experiencing something, right? And so even like in that situation where the child, the dad didn't believe what the kid was saying, right?
Yeah.
The kid's still experiencing something. Something is
Yeah.
going on there,
Something
right?
was going on.
And maybe it's not paranormal, and that's where we come into it. It's like, I will, even it doesn't, because honestly, it doesn't matter what I think it is. What matters is that somebody's reaching out for help, and if it's within our power to help them, I'm gonna try to help them. If that means they want us to come and sit with them and take a look at their house, okay. I'll pending that it's a safe environment, absolutely, I'll go and take a look at their house and see what I can do to alleviate whatever fears that they have of being there. And then at the end of the night, I'm going to shake their hands and say, hey, I appreciate you reaching out to us and thinking of us. Call us, let us know what else we can do for you.
Yeah.
And if you need anything else, give us a call. And that's it. There's no bill being sent. There's no request for a donation. There's nothing. It's just, that's what we do, because every single person that's on my team has had an experience that has drove them to this field.
Well, and that's just it, right? Is that you're
Mhm.
doing it because of the fact that not only do you want to help people, but it's you're also getting that opportunity to explore your own curiosities
Mhm.
without taking advantage of anyone, or
Yep.
whatever it is, right? Like you're basically allowing, like when people open up their home to a team, a legitimate team, let's just put that out there, that team should actually to some degree be grateful for the fact that this is a duality, right? You should be grateful that they're taking their time to come and help you to the best of their ability, but at the same time they're grateful at the fact that you're opening their home and placing trust into that
100%.
team
100%.
to be able to be there, right? And we might not have all of the answers. Nobody's going to have all of the answers, right? But at the very least, as we're exploring and investigating and taking a look into these, different worlds, these different realms,
Mhm.
right? This is how we learn. This is how we learn.
Exactly. Precisely. If we weren't invited into these places, we'd not be able to advance the field at all, right? We would be pretty stagnant. We get every bit as much out of a residential investigation. Sometimes we probably even get more out of it than the clients do, because we are getting experience, and an experience in this field is invaluable, in my opinion. More time that you're spending investigating, the better of an investigator you are, the more in tune you are with what you're doing. You start to understand patterns, and how how to set up your gear, how what kind of gear you should have,
Right.
instead of all this stuff. I mean, it's
And
just,
it's funny because many people will go out and buy thousands of dollars worth of equipment
yeah.
when really, a good tape recorder, a camera, and maybe a bell from the dollar store.
Yeah, I mean, you can investigate with very little. But I will say this: having been with, I've only been on 2 paranormal teams, and the previous team, the gear was very old, it was very outdated, it was very used, very worn, and we would get evidence here and there. With my new team, though, I mean, and for everybody out there, I mean, we're self-funded. I mean, everything that we have has been bought and paid for by our team members. But we try to save up a little bit of money, and we'll go out and we'll buy really good audio recorders. And since we've actually gotten really good audio recorders, I'll be darned if we haven't been getting a lot more evidence. It's
I
pretty
bet.
amazing. So, there is something to be, I mean, you can't, I mean, they've been doing investigations, I mean, with old cassette tape players, an old 8mm film and things like that. You can do investigations with pretty much, just, a good, any type of voice recorder, camera, video camera, whatever. But if you do have the funds to buy a higher end audio recorder, yeah, it
sure
opened my
noticed
eyes.
the difference, eh?
I agree. It's pretty amazing. So,
well, guys, thanks so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. Are you going to be with us next week?
I certainly intend to be. So
okay.
that is
I wasn't sure if you were working out of town next week or not. So.
Nope, I'm not working this next week, so I should be here, and I think we're going to continue on with some of this stuff and talk a little bit more.
Yeah, we're going to get into more of the scams and things like that people may have experienced, or we just want to help you guys out.
100%. Well, and we want to help our audience out, because by helping them out, we're helping us out. Because instead of driving people going to these, like fake, one of my big pet peeves is like the fake YouTube ghost channels, like, these are paranormal ghosts. Yeah. And they're getting like these, thousands and thousands and thousands of followers and all this money, and they just keep making fake videos. It drives me nuts. And I've got all these real stuff, and I don't get any of that money. It's
right.
Sucks.
And the funny part is that all of your real stuff, people would be like, well, I'm going to pick that apart. But, they can, like, it's funny, right? Or they'll argue, that dust is definitely, ants.
And it's still a ghost. It is a ghost. It's
a ghost.
It's a ghost.
It's an orb. It's 100% an orb. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for watching. We will see you next week. We're so looking forward to it. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Have a good night.